What's up, boxing fans? This is TBE Boxing, back at you again. Today's topic, Crawford, two-time undisputed. Does Boots Ennis really want to fight Crawford, or is he just playing the waiting game? Let's chop it up and see what it's all about.
Got the money for minutes, pretty bitch, gotta show me titties. This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This life before Richard, huh? And I got the glitzy, run up on me, I'ma make you get it. I'ma make you get it.
Okay, boxing fans, let's talk some boxing. We're going to chop it up. So, what we're going to talk about today is the Boots Ennis Crawford scenario. Ever since the Spence Crawford extravaganza that we saw on July 29th, ever since in the aftermath of that fight, a lot of people have been calling for Boots versus Crawford next. Now, at the end of the day, a Boots versus Crawford fight, might be a decent fight, but there's nobody really asking for that fight, and there's really no money in that fight. I mean, there's people asking for it, but it's mostly the people that's mostly asking for the fight is mostly the people that was riding with Errol Spence to beat Crawford in that fight on July 29th, and since Spence lost, they've basically drafted Boots now as the next lamb to the slaughter on the altar of Terence Crawford. So, they all think that, the young phenom Boots Ennis is going to be, is the guy that could beat Crawford now. Not, the first they thought Errol Spence could beat Crawford, and they said that for the past 5 years, even though, we all saw what happened. But now that that's over with, they're looking for somebody else to defeat Crawford, and they're thinking that this guy, young kid Boots Ennis, can fit that bill. But at the end of the day, like I said, it is not much. That's not a money fight for Crawford. He doesn't really want that fight because there's no money in it. Nobody knows who Boots is. Boots is unknown even in his own city to a lot of people. He's not a name. Okay, he hasn't really done much in terms of putting himself out there. Doesn't haven't really done anything to gain any kind of accolade. So he's just another contender. He looks flashy, but there's really no substance there at all. At the end of the day, in terms of what you call uh, notoriety or publicity, or he's not, like I said, he's not that well known. He's known among the YTBC and the community and the boxing community in general, but for the most part, to the casual fan, he's totally unknown. So there's not really much money in a fight like that. Which was the same reason, that Stephen S. Moser had said one time that there's not much money in a fight between Spence and Boots because nobody really know Boots. Okay, but at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter to the aerosexuals out there. These aerosexuals, like I said, Errol lost the fight, so now they're jumping on the Boots bandwagon. And so you have the aerosexual, the PBC Johnson jumpers, the nut huggers, the man fans, and the decafs out there all calling for the next fight to be Boots and Crawford. Now, the problem with that is this. They're calling for this fight, but at the end of the day, the main person involved with making this fight happen is actually Bozy Ennis, which is Boots' father. And the fact of the matter is, the Crawford fight was offered to Boots via Bozy, and Bozy turned it down. So let me repeat what I just said. So a lot of people are not going to hear what I just said because they have selective hearing. My point is that not only does Bozy Ennis not want the Crawford fight was offered to Bozy Ennis and he turned it down. Now we're going to go to the receipts. We're not going to waste a lot of time. We're going to go straight to the videotape and we're going to get these receipts out there so we can show you again that the fight was offered to Bozy and he turned it down. And we're going to hear this from Bozy in three different scenarios under three different circumstances where Bozy is going to admit from his own mouth, in his own words, that he turned down the Crawford fight.
I mean, just like Terence Crawford told somebody, said, if only way I fight him if he called me out and he called me a pussy or he called me a mother or something like. We don't even talk like that.
Yes,
you know what I mean. He said that's the only way he would fight Boots. If he's called. We was trying to set up a fight with him last month because BLK people called us.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, we'll take him in a heartbeat, just like that, right? And they said, all right, let's sit down and talk. I said, oh, you got to talk to my people first, though. Showtime.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's admission number one from the witness to the prosecution, Bozy, to the defense, Bozy. Bozy said that Black Prime called him, offered him the Crawford fight, and they told him, let's sit down and talk about it, and he told him, you got to go and talk to Showtime. You heard it for yourself. Let's continue.
It's
Showtime, because they're trying to be slick, trying to get me to do it on my own without Showtime. In a heartbeat, just like that, right? And they said, all right, let's sit down and talk. I said, oh, you got to talk to my people first, though. Showtime.
Yes, sir.
Showtime, because they're trying to be slick, trying to get me to do it on my own without Showtime. And I don't do that. Mm-hmm. See, I'm loyal to Showtime because I'm going to tell y'all, I never signed nothing with Showtime. I never signed, and my word is my bond. 3-fight deal, and whatever he said, we do it.
Okay, so there's another admission from Bozy. Not only did he not take the fight, according to him, because he told him to go talk to Showtime, but Bozy is saying that he's not even signed to Showtime. Okay, Bozy is not signed to Showtime, according to Bozy. We heard it from Bozy's own mouth. So, wait a minute. So Black Prime comes to you and he offers you the Crawford fight. Now, keep in mind that this is before the Spence fight. Okay, so you are running around claiming that you want the fight, you want Crawford next, you claiming that, right? You want Crawford. Crawford comes and offers you the fight. And you tell Crawford, go talk to Showtime, who you're not even signed with. You're not signed with Showtime, but you're telling them to go and to talk to Showtime. What? Now, let's keep in mind that Boots and his team claim they can beat Crawford. Okay, they claim they need their shot. They want a shot, and Crawford gave you a shot, and you turn it down. Now, this, if you really believe you can beat Crawford, why would you turn down a fight, a shot at Undisputed? Okay, because what would happen is if you beat Crawford, then you be the guy in line to fight Spence for Undisputed. You'd have you'd have the WBO belt, and then the next fight, would be between you and Spence, and then you could have a chance at Undisputed. So basically, what Bozy Ennis did was turn down a chance at Undisputed because he's loyal to Showtime, who he's not even signed to. Okay? Now, I mean, I'm not going to, it's up to Bozy Ennis. He can do whatever he wants. I mean, that's, it's his fighter. That's his business. That's his team. If he want to turn down a fight with Crawford, that's fine. I don't have no problem with that. For whatever reason you want to turn it down, whether he's loyal to Showtime or whether he doesn't think that Boots is ready or whatever, which is probably the most likely scenario, he doesn't believe that Boots is ready for a guy like Crawford. That's why he turned it down. But whatever reason he turned it down, it doesn't matter to me. Okay, he has a right to do that. That's his right. That's his prerogative. He want to turn it down. He want to turn it down. But after you turn the fight down, don't go around saying you're trying to get a fight with Crawford and that Crawford is ducking you, as we see, going on with their media arm, YSM Snitch Media. You got this guy, YSM Media, going around, trying to clout chase off of Crawford's name, claiming that, Crawford is avoiding Boots not getting his opportunity. That's the fight that should happen next. But when in reality, that both he don't want that fight next, and he's not going to make that fight next. Okay, those are the facts. And but yes, still, why is SM Snitch Media is going around, clout chasing off Crawford's name? So you might say to yourself, well, why do you call him YSM Snitch Media? Well, this is why. YSM Snitch Media. YSM Snitch Media. So there you go. Hi, TBE Boxing. Due to copyright removal requests that we received, your video will be taken down from YouTube in 7 days. Crawford undisputed. Did Boots Ennis really want to fight Bud, or is he playing the waiting game? Uh, Jamil Parker wants to give you an opportunity to resolve your copyright issue before your video is removed and copyright strike applied. So as you can see, I did a video previously. The way is does Boots Ennis really want to fight Crawford? Is he playing the waiting game? That was part one. This is part two. I'm doing right now, and part one there was a copyright strike because this guy Jamil Parker, YSM Cinch Media, filed a copyright strike against me. Now, how did this happen? Well, there was a clip from his video where you had Bowser Ennis admitting that he turned down the Crawford fight, and that video that that Snitch Media did was to basically kind of basically rehabilitate Bowser Ennis for turning down the fight by trying to rewrite history by saying that Bowser didn't turn down the fight. But he did, and the video that they made to cover up the fact that he turned down the fight revealed the fact that he turned down the fight. So I used that video, a clip from the video, and they put a copyright strike against me. And and how this all started with the copyright strike was, I saw a comment, in another video with this guy YSM Cinch Media, and I made a comment on that comment. Like I said, Bowser don't want to put Crawford in there, put Boots in there with a killer like Crawford, and stop using Crawford's name to cloud chase. And then he made a comment. This Snitch Media made a comment about, oh, stop using my videos. And I said to him, in my comment, hey, okay, you got it. Thanks for let me use the video. Next thing I know, I got this in my email saying that he filed a copyright strike against me, right? So they're trying to censor information about what's going on with Boots. They don't like the fact that I'm revealing to you that Bowser doesn't want the Crawford fight, and that he turned down the Crawford fight, okay, and that he's not even making an effort to get the Crawford fight. Even though you hear Boots out there talking about how he want to fight Crawford, he want this, he want the top guys, it's all nonsense. They don't want Crawford. They might want the top guys, but they don't want Crawford. Again, the fight was offered to him, and he turned it down. So here is the proof. YSM Cinch Media, filing copyright strike against TBE Boxing for revealing the truth. Okay, you know what I mean? So there it is. See it for yourself. Okay, so that's why I call them YSM Cinch Media. I mean, at the end of the day, they could have just called me, or they could have just sent me an email saying, yo, man, I appreciate you take that video down. We didn't give you permission to use it. And, I would have took it down. You know what I'm saying? I would have took it down if they had just called me like men, or like a man, and just, said that to me. But they didn't do that. Instead, they snitched to YouTube. Okay? So let me tell you what's going to happen now. So that video you see up there, that video will be back up soon, and it's going to be exactly, and nothing's going to change in that video. It's going to be back up, but it's going to be on my website, tbeboxing.com, right? So you'll be able to go to tbeboxing.com and watch this video, part one. Not now. I didn't put it up here, but I will put it up soon. And I'm still working on the website. I'm doing some renovation on that website, so you'll be able to go there and look up the this video and watch it. And any video that I put up on YouTube that get taken down off of YouTube, you'll be able to watch those videos, on TBE Boxing. If my videos are censored on YouTube, you'll be able to watch them on YouTube on TBE Boxing, so you won't be missing anything at all. All right, so let's continue with this situation here about Boots Ennis not wanting to fight Crawford and turning down the Crawford fight. So you heard what Bowser said, right? One, the fight was offered to them by Black Prime. Two, they told Black Prime, no, you got to go talk to Showtime. And, that they don't, and then three, they told you that they're not even signed to Showtime. So what happened? How did everything turn out? Well, let's continue with the investigation. All right, let's get. All right, so here we go. Another source. Let's see. Here we go.
Blue Blood Sports had called the dude Blue Blood called me. This would happen. He had called me when he had called me. He said, Bo. I said, what's up, Blue? Because he used to come down my gym all the time. He said, I can get that fight with Terence and Boots. I said, well, make it happen, man. I said, but you got to go through Espinosa sometime, because that's what I deal with. He said, oh. Then he said, well, let me talk to my guys. Matter of fact, I want you to talk to, what's his name, the BLK boy, the top guy, whoever he is. Him and Zab Judah. All of them was on the phone. So we talking, and they said they was going to make it happen. So they said he was going to call Espinosa. Espinosa said they talked to him. He talked to him and everything, and they said they was going to get back to him, but never got back to Espinosa. So when they put that stuff up, we don't even feed into that stuff when they put that shit up here. You know what I mean? But I know what I said, and I told Blue Bud, y'all can make it happen. Let's make it happen.
Okay, so first and foremost.
So you heard that, right? Again, it's another version of the story. This time he said that instead of Black Prime, it was Blue Blood that called him. But as you all know, if you don't know, Blue Blood kind of works with Black Prime. They work together some kind of way. I don't know exactly what the relationship is, but they do work together. So, okay. So he said that Blue Blood called him. They offered him to fight, and he told him to go and talk to Espinosa. Okay? And that Espinosa told him that, let's go back and hear what he said.
But never got back to Espinosa. So when they put that stuff up, we don't even feed.
So he said that they never got back to Espinosa after the first sit down that they had. That's Black Prime, and Espinosa sat down, and Bozy is saying that they never got back to Espinosa about the fight, right? Now, we got to keep in mind something while we are talking about this, that while this is going on, Espinosa is trying to make a fight with Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. And then while he's trying to make the fight with Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, Bozy comes to him with a fight with Boots and Crawford by Black Prime, right? This is what's going on. So now let me ask you, where do you think that Steven Espinosa's priority is? A fight with Crawford and Spence that he's been trying to make for over almost 2 years, or a fight with Bozy, with Boots and Crawford that nobody's asking for, that nobody wants, that even Bozy don't want? Okay, which one you think he's going to be loyal to, or which one you think he's going to try to make? I mean, so when Bozy know that they was trying to make a fight with Spence and Crawford, everybody knows that. We all know that they've been trying to make the fight for over a year, or more than a year. So by telling Black Prime to go talk to Espinosa about this fight instead of taking the fight, Bozy knew what he was doing. He's sending the fight to the graveyard, because there's no way that Espinosa is going to make that fight ahead of Crawford Spence. Okay, it's not going to happen. But let's continue.
See that stuff when he put that shit up here. You know what I mean? But I know what I said, and I told Blue Bud, y'all can make it happen. Let's make it happen.
Okay, so
here is Crawford is gonna see. Bozy said no. That Bozy said that the Black Pride never got back to him. Bozy said that's what they told. That's what Espinosa told him, that Black Pride never got back to him. But here we're gonna see Terence Crawford is gonna dispute that, and he's gonna say, "Oh yeah, we did talk to Espinosa. Let's check it out."
First and foremost, we did talk to Espinosa. So whoever said that is cap. Is cap.
Oh,
And
that's what Espinosa told me.
and I told Wallow and I told Gilly. I said if Boots want to fight Terence Crawford, call Bozy and Boots and ask them why they took the IBF route instead of staying with the WBO when they could have been my mandatory.
No. We never was your mandatory.
You could have been my mandatory.
Okay, good question by Crawford. So, what's the answer to that question? Well, we're gonna find that out in just a minute. Okay, give me 1 second here. Let me just pull that up for you guys. Okay, so here we go, people. So according to Terence Crawford, he asked him why didn't they stay the WBO route? Why did they go the IBF route instead of staying and becoming his mandatory? And this is the reason why. Here's the reason why right now. We're gonna give it to you. Jaron, Ennis promoter, expects Spence to vacate IBF title. Ennis to become full champion by summer. Wow. Okay, let's get into it. Jaron Boots Ennis will finally become a world champion this summer, but it will be via fiat rather than knockout, according to his chief handler. Ennis, the highly regarded 25-year-old welterweight contender from Philadelphia, became the interim belt holder for the IBF after he appointed Jaron last month at Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. on the undercard of the Gervonta Davis-Hector Luis Garcia lightweight bout. The win essentially secured Ennis a shot at the legitimate titleist of the sanctioning organization, Errol Spence Jr., who also holds the WBA and WBC 147-pound belt. Only don't expect the two to actually duke it out in the ring anytime soon. Cameron Duncan, the promoter of Ennis, says his charge will be elevated to full champion status without having to throw a punch because he believes Spence intends to vacate the belt. Boots is the interim champion now, Duncan told BoxingScene.com. Spence, he's obligated to fight him within 90 days. So we're going to fight for the title, and then the question will be, does Spence want to fight? And the answer is no. He will vacate his belt, and Boots will automatically become regular champion. And we will defend our title probably in June. Duncan maintains that he thinks Spence's days at 147 were numbered. No, he won't fight Ennis. No, Duncan said. I think he's going to 154 pounds. I don't think they want Boots at all. And at 54, it's perfect for the other guy, Spence. I think they're setting up a big fight with Spence against 154 champion Jamel Charlo, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I think we heard enough. So basically, we see that the reason why they went the IBF route, according to Cameron Duncan, who is Boots Ennis promoter, is because they expected to be elevated to full champion without throwing a punch. Okay? So this is the answer to Terence Crawford question of why they took the IBF route. And that's not so, well, let's go to the videotape again. Let's get some more proof. Okay? We're gonna get more proof.
Let me tell you about it. I had a phone call from my man, Blue Blood. He called me up and says, Bo, I said, what's up, Blue? I can get that fight for you, man. We can get that fight for you with Terence.
So again, this is another version of the same story. You see both ends again saying that Blue Blood called him up and told him they can get that fight with Terence, okay? So this is, this is not in dispute now, okay? The fight was offered to Bozy. So miss me with this thing about, Crawford need to give Boots an opportunity. All of this nonsense that we hear coming from these reprobates and man fans and aerosexuals out there. The fact of the matter is, again, from Boots' own mouth, in his own words, and he's speaking in English, the fight was offered to him. And this is what he said.
I said, man, I'm with Showtime. You know what I mean? I said, now, you want to make the fight, you call Steven Espinoza and talk to him and discuss that. Because that's who we with, you know what I mean? Yeah. And when I said that, I said, plus I'm loyal to these guys. I don't just leave and go to another, promotional company or whatever you are. And he says,
Terence under the impression that you turned down the fight?
Yeah, that's what he said.
See, there we go. So the question was asked, was Terence under the impression that you turned on the fight? Now, how would Terence be under the impression that you turned on the fight? Terence offered you the fight, and you told him to go talk to Showtime. He went and talked to Showtime. Showtime gave him the runaround. Okay, basically, Espinosa, because Espinosa is trying to make the Spence Crawford fight. He's not trying to make the Boots fight. Okay? So, now, we don't know. Yes, at the end of the day, this could be a negotiation, Crawford negotiating, and this is basically what it went down. So he offered Boots to fight, which he knew they was going to turn it down, which they did. He knew they was going to go to Espinosa probably, and said that, hey, Crawford offered us to fight. So basically, Bozy basically, snitched on himself. He turned down the fight with Crawford. Now, you can spin it any way you want to, but the fact of the matter is the fight was offered to him, and then the question was just asked: did Crawford think was Crawford under the impression you turned on the fight? Well, what do you mean? What do you mean under the impression? If Crawford offered you a fight and the fight is not happening for whatever reason because you told him to go to Showtime and Showtime is not making the fight, then you turn the fight down. He's not under any impression. He knows you refuse to fight. Okay, but he's not going to come out and say that because he don't want to embarrass these guys. But that's basically what happened. But let's continue.
That's what he said, but I don't know who he was talking to with that about that. So, you know what I mean? We was number one in Spence organization, the IBF. That's who he's going after. That's why, you know what I mean? But
so there again, you hear from Bozy. They were going after Spence. That's who they were really going after. They weren't going after Crawford, and he just admitted that. Let's go back to that and hear it again.
Let me tell you about it. I had a phone call from my man, Blue Blood. He called me up and says, Bo, I said, what's up, Blue? I can get that fight for you, man. We can get that fight for you with Terence.
Okay, so again, Blue Blood offered him the fight from Terence. Hear what Bozy said.
I said, man, I'm with Showtime. You know what I mean? I said, now, you want to make the fight, you call Stephen Espinosa and talk to him.
So he basically told him, if you want to make the fight, he said, if you want to make the fight, call Stephen Espinosa. He didn't say, I'm taking the fight. Yes, he said in one word, he said, yeah, I'll take the fight. But he said, if you want to make it, you have to call Stephen Espinosa and talk to him. That's from his own mouth.
Discuss that, because that's who we with, you know what I mean?
Discuss it with Stephen Espinosa because that's who we're with. Even though we're not officially signed with Stephen Espinosa. But let's continue.
You know, and when I said that, I said, plus I'm loyal to these guys. I don't just leave and go to another, promotional company or whatever you are. And he says,
Terence under the impression that you turned down the fight?
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what he said. But I don't know who he was talking to with that about that. So, you know what I mean? We was number one in Spence organization, the IBF. That's who he's going after. That's why, you know what I mean? But
so there it is again from Bozy. They were going after Spence. They had no intention of going after Crawford whatsoever and fighting Crawford. They were the whole time their plan is to go after Spence. We saw what Cameron Duncan said about them hoping that Spence would drop the belt so that Boots could be elevated to full champion without throwing a punch. So Cameron Duncan is saying that they was going after Spence. Bowles is saying that they was going after Spence, right? So what is this about Crawford? But they're talking about Crawford, but everything they're doing is to go after Spence. And we just heard it from Bowles' own mouth admit that they was going after Spence, right? So we're going to continue because there's a lot more. Okay? There's a lot more. All right. So let's hear it from the source himself now. Okay? We're going to hear from the horse's mouth.
He states that Bozy Ennis, he states that BOK Prime contacted them to try to set up a fight with Terence Crawford and Jaron Boots Ennis. And who was the one that made the phone calls? Yours truly. Yours truly. I set up the meeting for Bozy to meet with BOK Prime. I set it up when asked who can we get the next fight for Terence Crawford. I was the one that suggested let's make it happen with Jaron Boots Ennis. Let's see if Terence Crawford is open to fighting Jaron Boots Ennis. Terence Crawford said that he's more than willing to fight Jaron Boots Ennis. He actually stated that I'm not worrying about Jaron Boots Ennis because he ain't never been in the ring with somebody like me. So if we can set it up, set it up.
So there it is. Now you're hearing it from Blue Blood Sports himself. Now remember that Blue Blood Sports is a former hater of Terence Crawford. He was on the he was one of the main members of the Spence Protection Brigade, but he kind of switched lately, and he's kind of been on the, he's kind of been slowly but surely moving over, sliding over, slipping and sliding over to the Crawford side of the line, and at currently he's 100%. Well, almost 100% over on the Crawford side. He's done totally left Errol Spence. As a matter of fact, Errol Spence actually called him out on switching. When he said, "Why you switch?" I'm sure a lot of you guys probably saw that video. I did a video about that as well. You can go and check it out. The big fish switch by Blue Blood. But let's continue.
That's what Terence Bud Crawford stated, right? So I reached out to Bozy Ennis that night. Bozy Ennis said they would be willing to fight Terence Bud Crawford. Okay. He said, we'll be willing to fight Terence Bud Crawford in a heartbeat. That's exactly what he said. So I set the meeting up for my partners at BOK Prime. Also, Zab Judah was on the phone. We set everything up, the meeting up. And then from there, there was a big meeting between Steven Espinosa and BOK Prime. Okay. They had a big meeting to discuss the logistics and the possibilities of making Terence Crawford and Jaron Boots Ennis fight next. Okay. Dates was thrown out. What dates would be available to make this fight happen? And a lot of different logistics, okay, was being discussed that I cannot discuss, obviously. And so I told you guys, when people said, "Oh, Terence Crawford is not fighting this," I said that Terence Crawford was willing to fight. Now Bozy, he stated that, his loyalty to Showtime, and he said in this video that he felt like BOK Prime was trying to be slick, trying to undermine Showtime and make the fight behind Showtime's back. And I'm gonna confirm that Bozy did feel that way. Okay, and I was trying, and I tried to.
Okay, so this is a very important point right here. One of the excuses that Bozy gave was that for not taking the Crawford fight was that he felt that they were trying to get him to come over to their side. In other words, they're trying to get him to leave Showtime, even though he's not even signed with Showtime. So how can you leave somebody you're not even signed with? I don't get that. But smarter minds than mine might be able to figure it out. So he's not with Showtime, but he's worried about leaving Showtime, right? They just have a handshake deal. So if he made the fight with Crawford, it would have been no mark against him because he is not signed to Showtime. So he could make any fight he want, actually. Okay? So even though Bozy is in control of Boots' career and he's the boss, he wants to make himself a son. He wants to son himself under Showtime, right? So he's giving Showtime the right of refusal over Boots' career, basically. So he's running around claiming that they want the Crawford fight, but when the Crawford fight is offered to him, he gives the choice to Showtime whether to make the fight or not, right? So let's continue.
Explain to Bozy, well, we was just trying to have a meeting with you to gauge if you was going to be interested in making the fight and what's the possibilities and what is your obligations, you guys' obligations to Showtime. Okay, is it possible that you can even do it? And Showtime and Bozy, he said, he's not going to, discuss that. He would rather have Steven Espinosa talk business.
Okay, so a very important point right there. So here we see that Blue Blood said that they wasn't trying to get Bozy to come over. They just wanted to talk to Bozy and see if he even had the authority. What's his responsibility to Showtime? Did he even have the authority to actually try and make the fight? And what did Bozy say? He said Bozy didn't even want to talk about that. Bozy didn't even want to talk if he had the authority or not. He told them they got to go talk to Showtime about everything. He didn't want to talk about nothing. They had to talk to Showtime. Okay? So he turned everything over to Showtime, basically. But, let's continue.
And go over it, which they did. And they had an hour-long meeting. BOK Prime and Steven Espinosa had an hour-long meeting to discuss this fight. Now, the other stuff I can't get into, why it didn't come to fruition or why everybody went a different direction. I can't. I'm not. I don't have the. It's not my place to discuss those things. That's Steven Espinosa's place, and that's the head of BOK Prime. That's their place.
Okay, so you heard it from the horse's mouth, right? You heard it from the man himself, Blue Blood Sports. He's the one that made the phone call. So he's not. He's been very diplomatic right there. He's been a diplomat. He's not going to say what happened, even though he knows what happened. And the fact of the matter is that Bozy turned the fight over to Showtime, and Showtime killed the fight because they was trying to make the fight with Spence and Crawford. They had no interest in making a fight with Boots and Crawford because there's no money in a fight with Boots and Crawford. The money was in a fight with Spence and Crawford, and that's why, that was a non-starter. There was no way that Espinosa was going to make a fight between Boots and Crawford when he's trying to make a fight between Crawford and Spence. So the only way that fight was going to happen was if Bozy took the fight and went on ahead and made the fight with Black Prime, and they made a deal and made the fight, because that was going to happen under our Showtime banner. Okay, so basically, Bozy set the fight to Espinosa to get it killed. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. And so, we noticed that both of them didn't seem too broken up about the fight not happening. He said, Showtime. He said they didn't. He didn't really question Espinosa about what happened. He said Espinosa told him they didn't call him back. They didn't call back, and then Crawford told him to his face that he did call Espinosa back. Okay, and they did talk. So, but Bozy Ennis don't seem worried about that. He doesn't seem to be questioning that. He didn't go back and question Espinosa and say, what happened? How come you didn't make the fight? Because he already know that the fight wasn't going to happen. He didn't want the fight in the first place, and he knew the fight wasn't going to happen. Okay, once that fight was sent to Espinosa, that was the death and burial of the fight right there. And to prove what I'm saying to you, we're gonna go back to the receipts again, because we have plenty of receipts. Okay, and we're gonna show them. Okay, we're gonna show these receipts. Okay. Let's get these receipts out. All right, so here's the receipt. Here's another receipt. Steven Espinosa says Black Prime had little shot of making Crawford versus Ennis. President of Showtime Sports, Steven Espinosa, addressed the situation dealing with Black Prime in making a possible showdown between IBF interim welterweight champion Jaron Boots Ennis and WBO champion Terence Bud Crawford. The boxing community came down hard on Bozy Ennis, father of Boots. In an interview with Stamina for Sale, he revealed turning down a deal from Black Prime to possibly fight Bud due to his loyalty to Showtime. You all heard it. He said it out of his own mouth. I played the videotape. Furthermore, boxing fans' criticism went into overdrive, hearing him say they are not signed to Showtime. Some inside the boxing community questioned the seriousness of the offer, considering Bud's one-fight deal with Black Prime expired after fighting David Avenesian in December 2022. But the people that was questioning that was the aerosexuals and the PBC Johnson jumpers and all those Errol Spence Protection Brigaders and the man fans and the nut huggers. They're the one that questioned whether there was a serious offer, because they didn't, they were saying that Crawford is ducking, right? According to them. But there we see that, let's see what Steven Espinosa had to say about the whole thing. So he's saying that, they didn't have much to offer, but let's get into the details, right? Let's see what he says. During an interview with YSM Snitch Media, Espinosa explained that Black Prime had nothing to offer in being able to make the fight. We're gonna quote what he said now. I wouldn't even characterize it a discussion. There was a discussion, but the reality is they don't have a deal with Crawford. If Crawford is under contract to Black Prime, then maybe it goes through that. But the reality is they're trying to put together a fight just like we're trying to put together a fight. Okay. So here Stephen Espinosa confirmed that they're trying to put together a fight with Crawford, just like Black Prime trying to put together a fight with Crawford. They're trying to put together a fight with Crawford and Spence, and Black Prime is trying to put together a fight with Crawford and Boots. And he goes on to say, it was a very short discussion. They didn't really bring much to the table in terms of helping to make the deal. If there's going to be a fight between Boots and Crawford, there are other easier ways to do it without going through them. So again, just like I said, why would Espinosa want to make the fight with Crawford and Boots, okay, when they could make the fight themselves without Black Prime, right? So why did Boots send them? Why did Boots send them to send Black Prime to Espinosa? When if Espinosa wants to make the fight with Boots and Crawford, they can make that fight. They don't need Black Prime to do that, okay? But again, they're in negotiations with Crawford about the Spence fight. So you saw what Espinosa said there. He said that he wouldn't even characterize it as a discussion, right? But the reality is they don't have a deal with Crawford. If Crawford's under contract to Black Prime, then maybe it gets to go through that. But the reality is they're trying to put together a fight like we're trying to put together a fight. So here Espinosa is saying that Crawford doesn't have any paperwork with Black Prime, but while at the same time, Bowsy already admitted to us that he doesn't have any paperwork with Showtime. So why is Espinosa talking about paperwork when he doesn't even have any paperwork with Boots? He's saying that Black Prime doesn't have paperwork with Crawford, but he doesn't have paperwork with Boots either. So what's the difference? They could still make the fight if they want to make the fight, because Crawford himself called Espinosa and spoke to Espinosa about the fight himself. So it's not like they're hearing something from Black Prime and they can't confirm it with Crawford. Crawford confirmed the offer was legitimate because he spoke to Espinosa himself about the offer. Okay? And I'm pretty sure what Espinosa told him that, hey, look, man, we're trying to make the fight with you and Spence, man. Forget about this Boots guy. We can't do that now. We have to make this fight with Crawford, with you and Spence. That's the fight that we want to make. That's the fight we need to be talking about. And that's the fight that was made in the end. Okay? So again, the fight was offered to Bowsy. He turned it down and went on to tell Black Prime that they should go and talk to Espinosa. Espinosa, who was in the middle and the thick of trying to make the fight with Spence and Crawford, was like, this is a nuisance. I don't got time for this nonsense. What is Crawford trying to pull? He's trying to wind us up on the negotiation, put pressure on us, which is probably what he was doing, putting pressure on them. And he did put the pressure on them, and they made the fight with him and Spence instead of Boots and Crawford, which was never going to happen. And Bowsy had to know that. I mean, Bowsy's has been in boxing for years. He knew what's going on. So he knows that fight was going to happen. And he knew it was going to happen because he never really wanted to fight. And he said that in so many words. Okay? Now, let's get back, to why Bowsy doesn't want this fight with Crawford, okay? There's a reason that he doesn't want this fight with Crawford, because if we look at Bowsy, if we look at Crawford's, we look at Boots' record, okay? If we look at his record, we see that Boots has had 32 fights. That's that's more fights than Errol Spence have. Okay, so he has a lot of fights, but he hasn't really stepped up his game to fight he hasn't fought for a title yet. And there's a reason for that, due to the fact that he was going the IBF route and he's playing the waiting game and he's waiting for Spence to drop those belts. So he's going the IBF route, as we all heard already, and we heard why, and we all saw the reasons being given by Bowsy. They was going after Spence. So they go the IBF route. But we all know that Spence has been holding up the division for years now before he lost to Crawford. He hasn't been fighting his mandatories. He hasn't fought, he fought, in 3 years, he fought like twice. And so he's been kind of holding up the division, holding up the belts. And so Bowsy or Boots never really had a shot at that title, I don't think, because Spence wasn't going to fight him, and Spence ended up moving up. Spence ended up losing the fight to Crawford, and now Crawford has the belts. And Crawford is not going to drop the belts unless he has a big fight, at 154, 168. So Boots and Bozy, they're gonna, if they really want to fight Crawford, now's the time, right? I mean, if they want to make that fight, they need to make their move now. Like, they need to go ahead and petition to fight Crawford. He's the interim champion at the IBF, and now they can petition. So we should hear that, Boots has petitioned to fight Crawford. I don't know if that's happened. I haven't heard anything about that. Have anybody heard anything about that out there? But anyway, Boots has all these fights. He hasn't really fought. He has fought some pretty good guys, pretty good records, 16-1, 25-1, 5-1, 19-0, 21-1. He fought Karen Chukadzian in his last fight before he fought Villa. And we all saw what happened in that fight. And so we're going to get back to that, because this is the reason why I think Bozy don't want to put Boots in there with a killer like Crawford, because of the blueprint that was. Yeah, so here we are. We're talking about, the fight between Karen Chukadzian and Boots Ennis, right? And so we're going to see why Bozy don't want to put Boots Ennis in there with a killer like Crawford. Okay, we're gonna see why, and the reason why is because the Chukadzian fight, the Karen Chukadzian fight, showed us why Bozy don't want to put Boots in there with Crawford. So let's see. So here we're gonna show some clips of the fight between Boots and Chukadzian, and we're gonna see why again Bozy don't want to put Boots in there with a killer like Crawford. Okay, this is why.
As the unknown fighter and the difficulty Boots had with lateral movement and cutting off the ring. Boots actually was cutting off the ring. It's how he did it that made him run into some issues. His jabs to position his opponent and decided to reach and win big power shots or walk into lead crosses. The leaping left hooks had Boots doing complete 180s and ending up with his back to the opponent. Then the crosses had him reaching, leaving him off balance. But his main issue was that positioning and vulnerable.
Left in the 10th round.
Left, right. See that? Left-right combination by Chukadzian. Look at the lateral movement. This jab by Boots. It's confusing Boots. Good lateral movement by Chukadzian.
He's really starting to open. Oh, man. Reaching a little.
Left-right combination by Chukadzian. Left and the right by Chukadzian. You saw it? Left and the right. Just imagine if that was a Crawford left and right that was landing on Boots' face.
He's boxing. When we go through the history books of boxing, though,
Body shot.
Just showing about the fact that Chukadzian.
Right hand over the top. I mean, this guy's landing punch after punch on Boots. I mean, Boots won the fight. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. He won the fight. But a lot of things were exposed in this fight, and this is just some of the things that we are seeing right here.
Did not come just to lie down. A nice right hook to the body.
Left-right combination.
And the way Ennis is walking him down, or
uppercut to the body.
Nice, you got to go. He walks
never hook to the body.
But in a way,
high-level fighters do it all the time to set traps.
All these punches are landing.
Close distance with the back leg already loaded. However, the habitual use of back foot first once again leaves you resetting with your front foot towards your opponent. When you gather your feet with the back foot half step, you're at a stance. When you're completing the step with the front foot, you're off balance in range with forward momentum. Once the front foot lands, your weight is distributed and your front foot heavy in range. Not to mention, you're out of position to move laterally and properly cut off the ring.
Grab and hold.
In the press clippings, in the articles
good lateral
online,
movement. Left
he came
to
in
the body,
like, look, I believe in my
showing Boots a lot of lateral movement.
part of the world.
Good left hook to the head by Kazakian. Right to the body, left to the face. Just imagine if that was Crawford landing these punches. Just think about it.
But then he's going to go after that. He's not going to stand in the pocket with Ennis.
Left hook.
Mid-range with the added task of gaining proper balance on the
Over
land,
the top.
then defending.
Hook to the head. Right to the jaw. Hook over the top.
Hop or half step, ending up gaining no distance, which left him
Lateral
in vulnerable
movement.
position.
Boots don't know if the turn. Boots don't know if he's coming or he's going. Hook to the body. Right hook to the body by Kazakian. Good lateral movement. Right to the body. Left hook. Good movement again. Right, left, right.
He's landed some, and Chukadan has taken them.
Never hook to the face by Kazakian. Right to the body. Boots thought he was coming up top. He went down bottom. So, there's a lot there that we saw that was exposed by Boots. Terzakian basically published the blueprint on Boots in its, he published a full book, not just a chapter. It was a full novel, okay? And we all saw it. Let's take another look at it.
Beating a largely unknown fighter and the difficulty Boots had with lateral movement and cutting off the ring. Boots actually was cutting off the ring. It's how he did it that made him run into some issues. His jabs to position his opponent and decided to reach and wing big power shots or walk into lead crosses. The leaping left hooks had Boots doing complete 180s and ending up with his back to the opponent. Then the crosses had him reaching, leaving him off balance.
Away. Never punched by Boots. Ducking slice.
But his main issue was that positioning and vulnerable.
Left in the 10th round.
Good right hand by Ducking. Never right and left. Never right. Like about 4 punch combination right there landed. All of them landed. Look at the lateral movement by Chizukian. Boots couldn't cut out the ring the whole fight. They kept saying that Chizukian was running, but he's standing right in front of Boots, just circling, as you can see for yourself, and landing shot after shot after shot. Good right-left combination. 4 punch, 5 punch combination right there. Another one. Boom. Another right and a left. Just imagine if that was Crawford. Never left. Imagine if that was Crawford. Never right. A hook to the body.
Just showing about the fact that Chukadzian did not come just to lie down. A nice right hook to the body. Oh,
good John.
And the way.
So I think you've seen enough. So this is the reason why. This is the paradox of baby Boots. Okay, this is why Bovey doesn't want to put Boots in there with a killer like Crawford. This is the reason why Boots, is playing the waiting game, waiting for someone to drop a belt so you can just slide in there and get an email belt. Because of things like what we just saw. After 32 fights, still haven't fought a top number one top tier contender, hasn't fought a title yet. They've been bringing Boots along very slowly and very patiently. And, the problem with that is that sometimes you're too patient, the fighter doesn't really get the right kind of exposure. They're not really taking enough chances with Boots. Putting him there with, I think putting him in there with Chizukian was a very big chance that they took. They probably thought that Chizukian was just a no-name guy from Europe. Same thing happened with Gary Russell and Lomachenko when they first fought, and in that scenario, Lomachenko beat Gary Russell. But in this scenario, Chizukian didn't have the same skills. He had some skill, but not the same to equal what Lomachenko had, so he couldn't pull it off. But if he had a little more punching power, he would have pulled it off, because we saw him land a lot of shots on Boots, and any one of those shots could have been a shot to drop him if he had enough power, but he didn't, and so it is what it is. So again, this is the reason why they've been very careful with Boots. Okay, they've been bringing them along very carefully. He had a lot of skills. In terms of he looks good. The package looks good. Okay, but it's more than just looks. Okay, you have to get in there and execute, and we can see that when it comes to execution against somebody that can actually do some fundamentals in there, like move, lateral movement, slip. We see that Boots is not up to par. Okay, he couldn't cut out the ring against Tsarukian. He had every advantage against Tsarukian: reach, height, weight, strength, power, speed. He had all of that, and he still couldn't put this guy away. The guy frustrated him the whole fight, basically. Landed some good shots on him, and we all saw how that played out. So this is basically the paradox of Baby Boots in its playing the waiting game. All this talk about fighting Crawford, or wanting to fight Crawford, is just talk. It's not going to happen anytime soon. They're not going to put him in there with Crawford unless they're forced to. They're not going to try to make the fight with Crawford. They're not going to petition to go ahead and fight Crawford next, as they claim they want to do. I want to see them do that if that's the case, and I would love to see the fight next. If since we're not going to get the Spence Crawford fight, Crawford says he's going after Canelo. He may be waiting to see who wins the fight tomorrow night between Canelo and Jermell Charlo, and then he's going to make a decision then. But I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Boots, because I think like Crawford would watch Boots. Boots not ready for a killer like Crawford. We saw what Tredzukian did. Just imagine if there was Crawford in there, it would have been game over for Boots. That would have been the end of his career right there. He'd have been knocked out by Crawford. Okay, that's how I see it. If they put Boots in there with Crawford, he's gonna get stopped. Okay, so that's basically what it comes down to. We saw what he did to Errol Spence. So enough is enough. We're done with that aspect of this video. I've presented you with all the receipts. You have all the facts for yourself now. So now you know that despite all the talk out there about wanting to fight Crawford, they don't want Crawford, and they're not going to make the fight with Crawford. They're waiting. They're playing the waiting game. They're waiting for their belts to drop. They're waiting for Crawford to move up to that boost and get in there and as an interim champion and become the full champion by being elevated without throwing a punch, according to his own promoter. Okay, and his father, who said they were going after Errol Spence, not Crawford. So enough with the nonsense people out there. Enough of these man fans and Errol sexuals out there trying to gin up a fight that they know they really don't want to make. So enough is enough with that. So now we're gonna turn our attention to Jermell Charlo. Okay, Jermell Charlo. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember this, but this is remember when Jermell Charlo said that he's gonna go up and fight Canelo, then he's gonna come back down and take on Terence Crawford and this, that, and the other. And as a matter of fact, let's go to the video tape. We're not gonna waste any time.
But a win over Canelo will stamp me in one of the greats, and then I take his books. And then I got to fight the Mexican Monster, and I got to fight the Caleb Plants, and I got to fight all the big boys, right? So I'm going to have all of them motherfuckers trying to fight me. And I got the little short, Omaha, the fisherman. You know what I mean? I guess, whatever you want to call it, the net carrier. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. We're going to head over here.
Okay, so that was Jermell Charlo not too long ago talking about the net carrier, the fisherman, the Omaha little fella that he's gonna fight. He want the big fights after he move on beat Canelo, right? So everybody was getting excited. Okay, so he really is gonna fight Crawford. He's gonna come back down, probably gonna come back down and wait and fight Crawford at 154 pounds. So I even made a video about that. I talked about how Jermell Charlo was daring to be great. He's gonna fight. He wants to fight the big fights. Caleb Plant, David Benavidez. After he move and fight Canelo, I'm thinking, okay, this guy is really there to be great. But then we got the news, and we got this news from Jermell. Check this out. All right. So, like I said, we saw what Jermell Charlo said about making the big fights, and then maybe 2 weeks or maybe a week or 2 weeks after that, this is what he said. He done changed his mind already. Here we go.
I thought it was interesting because on your social media you said I'm gonna shock the world. Then I'm coming back to hold my throne at 154. I'm the king. Nothing but mega fights from here on out, and then we can make that Crawford fight. So is it Canelo, and then your intention to go back down to 154?
I might not necessarily go back down. I might meet him 60. I might meet him somewhere. If you want to make a mega fight, I'm going to be the mega fight to make. Terence Crawford not the mega fight to make. I'm the mega fight. Once I beat Canelo, and I had that throne, and I'm the undisputed champion at 168. What y'all gonna do? Y'all gonna be wondering about what's going on next with Jamel Charlo. Yeah, he won undisputed at 40. Yeah, he won it at 47. But then he barking up, he biting a little too much. So he tried to come fight me, and what I do to Canelo might shut him up.
Were you surprised the way he beat Errol Spence?
I was.
Okay, so now Jamel Charlo is hoping that first foremost, he say he's gonna meet him. Crawford has to meet him wherever he's at, So he's not coming back down to 154 anymore, like he said previously. Now he's saying that Crawford's gonna have to meet him wherever he's at, 160, 168, or whatever. Okay, and then he's also saying that after Crawford see what he does to Canelo, he might not want to fight him after that. So this is what he's hoping for. So these guys are something else, man. So this is what we have, So now Jamel Charlo is talking out both sides of his face, acting like he actually doesn't want to make this Crawford fight. It looks like he doesn't want the Crawford fight at all. Okay, and I don't think we're gonna have to worry about that, because more than likely I don't think he's gonna be successful against Canelo, and so what we're gonna be looking at next is probably Crawford versus Canelo, which is the biggest fight in boxing and the fight that everybody's talking about right now, and the fight that everybody want to see. Okay, that's the fight that everybody wants to see. As a matter of fact, nobody's really talking too much about this Canelo Jamel fight too much. Everybody's looking, they're waiting for this fight to be over so they can see who Crawford is going to face next. Is he going to face Jamel next, or is he going to face Canelo next? With most people assuming that he's going to be facing Canelo, that Crawford's going to be facing Canelo next, because Canelo is probably going to defeat Jamel Charlo, which I think is the most likely scenario. Because I'm thinking that I think we're going to see a replay of the Billy Joe Saunders situation, where once you get in there with a guy like Canelo and you land the first solid shot and you feel that punch, and you realize that you're in there with a guy who's punching like a heavyweight, a lot of things change. And I saw that in the Billy Joe Saunders fight. As soon as that first punch landed, it was all over. The fight was over right there and then. Because Billy Joe Saunders felt that, and he didn't want no more of it after that. He played survival the rest of the fight. And I'm not going to say that Jamel Charlo has no chance. He had a chance depending on what he goes out there and execute. But if he goes out there, unprepared for this fight, and I don't really see him as having had enough time to prepare for this fight to the degree that he needs to prepare, I think that Canelo is going to probably end up stopping him. I think that Canelo had a tough chin. Jamel got a pretty good punch, and he might have a bigger punch at 168, but we don't know that yet. And we don't know how he's going to be. What's his stamina going to be at 168? He's going to be able to go the full distance with all this added weight on him. We don't know none of that yet. So we're going to have to wait for the fight tomorrow night to see how all that's going to play out. But based on all of that, and the fact that we've seen Canelo in there with 175 pounders and, talking about fighting cruiserweights, I just don't see Jamel Charlo being able to withstand the power and not just the power, but the skills and the ability to take a punch that Canelo has. When I look at the Castano fight and I saw how the both fights played out, and I'm looking at Canelo, in the position of Castano, even though Canelo doesn't have the punching output, of Castano, but the punches are more powerful and they're more accurate and they're more well placed, and those punches landing, and I think it's going to be a long night for Charlo. So I don't really I'm not really optimistic about his chances. I think he's gonna try to put up a good fight, but I think that at the end of the day, Canelo is gonna overwhelm him with the punching power, and we see that Canelo look like he got something to prove, so he's coming out there ready to go. And at the end of the day, Jamel got skills, and but I just doesn't think he have the skills that Crawford have. Now, I've seen Jamel box before, and in this fight, he's going to have to box the whole fight, okay? I mean, he's going to stay on his toes the whole fight if he wants a chance at winning this fight. And he's going to have to stay in the pocket at times, but not for too long, maybe 3 or 4 punches, and then move out again and just stay on his feet, just keep moving. Can he do it for 12 rounds? I don't know. Can he keep Canelo off him for 12 rounds while he's moving around for 12 rounds? I mean, Caleb Plant tried it. It didn't work for Caleb Plant. But, Jamel is probably a little more athletically gifted than Caleb Plant. I don't know if he's technically more proficient. But we're going to find that out, tomorrow night. So there's a lot to play out, and we're going to see how it all plays out tomorrow night. And so at the end of the day, what we're left with is whether or not Terence Crawford is going to face Jamel Charlo next, or he's going to face Canelo. If it's Canelo, then, that's a fight that a lot of people want to see. And according to Crawford, delusional Canelo can run, but he can't hide. So, yeah, we want to see, we're going to see how this fight tomorrow plays out. I'm thinking that Canelo by stoppage. Even though, like I said, the one thing that Jamel does have, he has a puncher's chance, he does have the skills, he has all the abilities, he has all of the tools needed to defeat a Canelo. Okay, height, size, reach, movement, speed, but again, it's all going to be about execution. Can you execute at the highest level when all the lights are on you in a big fight? And can Jamel do that against Canelo? Canelo got an iron chin. So we're gonna see it all play out. At the end of the day, I don't think so. I think even though I give him all the credit in the world, and I like Jamel Charlo's skills. He has some good skills, even though I don't think he's as accurate as he could be, and he wastes a lot of energy and a lot of punches. Getting too many firefights, that's not to his advantage. He can't do it against Canelo. So we're going to see how it plays out. But at the end of the day, I think that Canelo is probably going to end up stopping him somewhere in the later part of the fight. And that's how it's going to play out. And so if that's how it's going to play out, then we're going to see, I guess we're going to start the ball rolling for the Crawford-Canelo fight next. Or the Crawford-Jamel fight if Jamel actually wins, which I don't think is going to happen. So this is where we're at, people. So we might get a chance to see the biggest fight of the century. The Iceman Bud Crawford against Saul Canelo El Carne Alvarez. So big fight, big boxing coming up. Tomorrow night's fight is going to be a very important fight for the history of boxing, in terms of if we get to see Crawford versus Canelo or Crawford versus Charlo next. Whichever one we get is going to be a great fight, and it's going to be legacy, and it's going to be big time boxing all over again. So right now, hopefully we get a good fight tomorrow. Best of luck to both guys, to Jamel Charlo. Best of luck to Canelo. May the best man win. Okay, and I'm looking forward to that fight. It should be a good one, and we'll see it. We're gonna see how it all plays out. But yeah, people. So this is the story. With the paradox of Baby Boots Ennis, the Jamel Charlo, and the Canelo Alvarez possible upcoming biggest fight of boxing, the biggest fight in boxing this century, probably. We might get a chance to see that fight. I hope we do. I'm definitely looking forward to it. With that said, this is TBE Boxing saying, I'm out.
Got the money for minutes, pretty bitch, gotta show me titties. This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? That life before Richard, huh? And I got the glitzy run up on me, I'ma make you get it. I'ma make you get it.